Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fantasy Football Dad's first Underdog Best Ball Draft. I am your loser of a father, FFD, and I'm here today on Underdog and going to go through the $5 Puppy 2 Best Ball Draft. It's not something I would say to a woman, but I'm going to say it on my YouTube stream right now. Now, if you're new to the best ball jungle, then I'll quickly go over a few things, and that is best ball is similar to a regular fantasy football league, but without like the 2 a.m. phone checks for the waivers, in order to see if you can land that loser running back that is only useful for 1 week, or having to persuade your loser friend to trade you a tight end because yours is incredibly useless. Finding out that your first overall pick is done for the rest of the season, kind of like CMC did last year to my shitty ass fantasy football team. Instead of all that, best ball will take your highest scoring players out of the 18 that you draft. So the roster for each week will consist of one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, one tight end, and a flex, which is either a running back, wide receiver, or tight end. So your highest eight players out of the 18 basically will get you your highest score that you can basically produce. So you don't have to worry about going on Sunday morning and going, should I pick Gino or Darnold? Gino or Darnold? None of that. Pick both of those idiots and you get highest scoring one for that week. Now you do that for 14 weeks, and the top two move on to the next round, with the playoffs being weeks 15, 16, and the finals if you make it that far in 17. Now I mostly play on Underdog and DraftKings. They're a bit different depending on the platform, since Underdog is half PPR and has 18 rounds typically in their drafts, and DraftKings is full PPR and goes up to 20 rounds. So you get to really scrape the bottom of the barrel at the end of those 19 and 20 rounds. So a bit different strategy comes into play, and so I'll talk about that when I'm doing my drafts and for future streams. So, it's the FYI, I am not an expert, and I do not rely on all the stats or nerds, and I'm going to pick my numbers. There's so much variance in football that there's no guarantee on what's going to happen. One injury, two injuries can ruin your whole season, and that's the joy of football, actually. So I actually rely on the love of following football. Taking into account previous trends that I remembered from the last few years, and to be honest, I do most of it so I don't have to spend time with all of my children. And you know what? I do it for fun. It's at the end of the day, fantasy football. It is something just to take your mind off things and just enjoy the whole aspect of being able to enjoy those Sunday evenings and Sunday afternoons and Sunday mornings and Thursday evenings and Monday evenings and soon to be Saturday sometimes, and also your Christmas, Thanksgiving, all those beautiful days that your kids really want to spend time with you, but you really don't give a shit. Okay, so let's get started, and I'll provide you with live reactions of the other idiots in this draft stealing my picks, and also walk you through my reasoning on picking certain players and teams as we go into this 2025 regular season. All right, let's get started now.
All right, let's try this again. Let's try the puppy 2 again. And if it doesn't work, you know what? I want to go play catch with the little one. Let's try this again here. Let's enter. And we are in. It actually worked. So, this is the universe telling me to spend less time with my kids. Now, let's get in. We're trying to get in here. It's going to fill up pretty quick here because it's a pretty good price point, and a lot of people wanting to start their drafting pretty soon here, as the season's going to start in a couple of weeks. Like trading camp start like next week, so the season comes up at you pretty quick here. So we're in pick 5 of this draft. Not bad. Right now, as you can see, Jamar Chase is the consensus number one pick. And you got then Jefferson, Bijan's, Barkley, and then CeeDee Lamb, Gibbs, Nakua, McCaffrey, Neighbors, Collins, GNT, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Brian Thomas are kind of interchangeable right now in the first round, but That's your first round ADP right now as it stands, and it's probably going to transfer over to your redraft or your normal fantasy football league. So it can be very similar, but let's see what happens. Number 5, honestly, I would love Bijan. I think he's gonna have a crazy season. The Falcons, if you don't think about last year, they were pretty concentrated. As soon as the new coaching staff came on board, Bijan was run hard in the second half of the season, put up crazy numbers, and Drake London as well. Quite a few targets in that offense, and him and Mooney aren't coming off that field. So, but right now, I think I'm going to end up with Lamb, and I'm probably that's the guy I want to go with. Dak's healthy for, I don't know, even though a healthy Dak's not a great Dak, but, he does force feed his guys. So, if CD can stay healthy this year, he was the number 1 wide receiver last year. So if he can come back and put up that season again, even something close to it, I'm happy with that. So highlight CD, let's go with him, and we'll look at potential stacks, which means that, looking at getting maybe Dak, so you can kind of double on those points. When Dak throws a touchdown to CD Lamb, you're getting that 6 for the touchdown from CD, and then 4 for Dak for that passing touchdown. So that's why you kind of want to make sure you try to stack your top wide receivers or tight ends with your quarterback, so you can kind of get both those points. Obviously, big switch with George Pickens coming over to Dallas. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. All that attention on the outside will help CeeDee Lamb in the slot in the middle of the field. But ideally, I wouldn't mind getting Pickens 2 in this draft and then stacking them both with Dak, because you really only have like those 2 and then maybe Jake Ferguson in the red zone. They really don't have any running game or any big name running back that's going to take away any of those touches. So I think it's gonna be a throwing team, and if I can get Pickens as well as maybe my wide receiver 3 or 4 right now, I think that's the way I'm probably gonna want to go. But let's see what happens here. I'm coming up here in the next 4 picks. Like I was talking about Drake London before, AJ Brown's always a beast. Just got to stay healthy. That offense is gonna be awesome again. Ladd, number 1 guy on the Chargers there, and he's kind of taking that Keenan Allen role. But you know what? I really like Jonathan Taylor. He's had a little bit of a resurgence back in the last few weeks of last year. And if they do stick with Daniel Jones, which is never the answer, I think it could pay off, because you won't have A-Rich like taking a lot of those touches, especially in the red zone. Brock Bowers is a consideration too. I really get really scared of tight ends, man. Like, could he do it again? Could he have like a crazy ass season? Yeah, for sure. But do I really trust it? I don't know. I think McBride offers that. Kittle later on in the draft can offer the same type of potential with Bowers. So I'm going with Taylor. Like I said, you got Daniel Jones, which is no savior of any kind. That guy, I'm surprised he even landed on his feet again after what he did with the Giants. But, you saw that he was able to support Saquon for a couple of those years in New York. So I'm hoping that Jonathan Taylor comes back, and like they've kind of mentioned, he's going to be the focus of the offense again. A-Rich not playing, A-Rich being benched is probably the best thing for Jonathan Taylor, and I think he can kind of get out there. So for the next one, I want to kind of go back to wide receiver. You hear that quite a bit. Wide receivers are, taken pretty early, so you want to make sure you grab a few of those good ones because you have to play 3 every week. So you need 3 of those. You only need 2 running backs. So, you have to have 3 wide receivers. So that's why they're always going to be a premium in this type of format. McBride went. I would have loved McBride. You got an interesting mix here. Devontae Adams, McLaurin, JSN, Marvin Harrison. This is the toughie. McLaurin or Marvin. You know what? Let's go with Marvin Harrison. you know what? Last year was a disappointment. This guy was going the end of the first round last year, I remember, and he was supposed to be the next big thing. Oh, he's gonna, be Kyler's new best friend, and he's gonna get all these targets, and he did get the targets. If you don't think about it, I know I'm not the one to speak about stats, but if you look at his red zone numbers, he got a lot of red zone targets. So because obviously Trey McBride couldn't convert those touchdowns, so obviously the regression will kind of go back to Trey McBride getting more touchdowns than like one or two, which he only had one or two touchdowns, which is kind of crazy. But you know what? You gotta bet on the talent of Marvin Harrison. He was a high rated prospect, and you just hope he can come back. And like I said, like late in the year, he got better. He was getting a lot of red zone touches, looks. I mean, so if you can convert some of those to touchdowns and be a little more confident on the route running and all that kind of stuff, the talent's there. So let's bet on that. Let's go to the next one. We're up in 8 picks. So what I like to do is I always like to look at where I'm going to be kind of landing at. So as you can see, I'm going to be pick 44 and then 53 and 68. So kind of want to look around that area because drafts do follow the ADP, right? So right now, as you can see, around the 43 to 45 is Metcalf, Worthy, Omarion Hampton, Jameson Williams, Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, Cortland Sutton, and Pickens. It's going to be interesting, right? I'm going to be pick 44, and Pickens goes around pick 50. I think I'm going to go with Pickens. I just don't want to risk him getting sniped on that turn when it goes to that 4 or 5 turn. So, yeah, I'm going to probably take Pickens a little bit earlier than I would want to. God, Mike Evans is available too still, and then but I think in this pocket of wide receivers, like your second wide or third wide receiver, you're kind of getting a similar player, right? Metcalf is just that offense is run heavy. DJ Moore, obviously new offense with Ben Johnson's going to be great, but there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, and there's no guarantee. So, like I said, Dallas is going to have to rely on these two pass catchers to pretty much push their offense, and I think this would be the time to take Pickens. Otherwise, I'm going to get sniped and I'm going to, lose my shit. So I'm going to take Pickens. I take Pickens with pick 44, a little bit high, earlier than I would want given ADP. But sometimes, man, all it depends on is just take your guy, right? There's no guarantee. Like if Lad McConkey goes in the second round right now, if Lad McConkey ends up having a wide receiver 2 or 3 season, he would have gone in the first round. And so sometimes just go with your gut. If you think your guy's there, if you're confident in a player and you have to go 12 picks past ADP or whatever it may be, just do it, and so don't have any regrets later and knowing why you didn't take that guy. So I'm going to go with Pickens. CD. I'm going to just check out the next one, and I'm going to look at where Dak's going and kind of plan my draft accordingly. 53 and 68. So I got Waddle. Zay Flowers is a good pick, I think. Ridley. I'm high on Ridley. Now is Cam Ward going to be awesome the first year? Probably not. Is he an upgrade over that idiot Will Levis? For sure. 100%. Will Levis is only good at throwing at other teams' cornerbacks. He's not good at throwing at his own wide receivers. So, it's kind of tricky here, but Zay, Waddle, Ridley. I'm going to go with Philly. I'm going to go with Devonta Smith. Reason being, that Philly offense is going to be awesome. And as my wide receiver 4 right now, I think it's a good pick. I got him a little bit. He's kind of dropped a bit, about 6 picks compared to ADP. So, you know what? Like I said, that pocket is pretty. I was gonna just go back to Ridley. I do like Ridley. That's Cam Ward's guy. I think they don't really have any crazy wide receivers that he has to compete with. So the only thing that kind of scared me away, which is probably nothing I would consider, but normally you got week 10 bye, and I already have 2 of my wide receivers week 10. Whether or not that's a strategy I should not be staying away from, I don't know. But if you have your first, you want to rely on your top 3 or 4, or 5 wide receivers to kind of get you those, be pretty safe. And if they're not playing one week, which probably isn't a big deal, like I'm probably overthinking it, and I have nothing to go off of, whether or not you can do that. But yeah, I kind of got scared away with that. But I do like Ridley, and I think I probably should have picked him over Devonta, but you know what? That's okay. That's why there's multiple drafts, so idiots like me can redo the same shit over and over again. Coming up here, so I wanted to go back and see where Dak is and where his ADP is, so I can kind of figure out. So he's going around 112. If I look, I have pick 116, and I don't want to wait, so I might have to like reach again at 101 for Dak, and I'll probably do that. Looking at the wide receivers, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, Godwin, and Addison. I do like Godwin, but I just got to make sure he's healthy. That's the big thing. I do like Montgomery. I think he's a safe pick as a running back, as a second running back. And I do like Godwin, but I just got to make sure he's healthy. Like, that health kind of concerns me. Let's go with, I'm going to go for Montgomery. I know Gibbs is there. I know Gibbs eats into the workload, blah. I know, he's an exciting player, 100%. Gibbs is a great pick. But Montgomery is like, Dan Campbell's boy to get around the red zone. He's going to punch those in. So, it's a safe running back pick. Not a lot of upside, but it's safe, right? If it gets me one touchdown with 50, 60 yards, that's, that might be all I need. I can't get a really high scoring running back at this late stage of the game unless it's like some sort of rookie or goes off. So, yeah. Some of the wide receivers are still available. You got Jeudy, Golden, Reed, Shakir, and Diggs. Diggs is interesting, man. If that guy comes to ball like it is, with Drake May, if he's anything like close to what he was in like the first season, like last season with Houston, it's a good pick. But you know what? I'm going to go with Jeudy. Yes, Cleveland sucks ass. They have 4 quarterbacks and they have no guarantee of who that quarterback's going to be this year. And it's going to be the corpse of Kenny Pickett, couldn't do shit wherever he's gone so far, and don't think he's a savior there. It's old man Flacco with the old man strength of, slinging it with like no regard for anybody. And if it's Flacco for the first few weeks, Jeudy can definitely eat, man. And maybe sometimes that's what you need in the first few weeks, right? Just to get those early points. And right now, like I said, he dropped 9 spots from past ADP, which is not bad. As my 5th wide receiver, not too bad. I don't think I'm not really scared off of being, like not really scared off of Jeudy because, he's shown last year that he can go off on 1 or 2 games, right? And that's all you need. You need one spike week like that where he puts up 30, 40 points like madman, and that wins you that week, right? So I'm going to try to just we'll hold on to that and see what happens. Coming up here pretty quick. So I know with my next one, I'm going to have to take Dak. So I'm going to probably go for a running back or a tight end. So there's Hawkinson's available. I have another sleeper I'll probably go after now, but for running back, I do like Jordan Mason, right? I think he has a role this year as if you remember that game against Detroit where they had to win it to get in or get the bye, and they couldn't even score in the red zone. They had ran it in a couple of times. If they had a running back that could run it in, they would have scored a couple of those touchdowns. So, yeah, it's either Hawkinson or Mason. And you know what? I'm going to go with Mason. Kevin O'Connell is the man. Like that's the kind of team you want to target, right? You know where the ball's going. You know that he's only going to play JJ Hawkinson, Addison, and he had Aaron Jones last year. Got a great year out of him, and he said obviously they targeted Mason for that reason to kind of be able to score in the red zone. They were like in the on the 5 yard line and in that last game of the season, and they couldn't score. Honestly, all they needed was a couple of touchdowns out of like this 4 or 5 red zone trips, and they would have won that game. Okay. A player like Mason, I think they're going to use to be able to score, those easy touchdowns. Their quarterback's going to be different. Like, it's not like Darnold, I would say, would be any better than JJ McCarthy at this point. McConnell's a god when it comes to quarterbacks. That guy can pull out, a rabbit out of his ass when it comes to quarterback and making sure that they get their stats and they're efficient. So, yeah, I think that's the reason they brought him. And worst comes to worst, like Aaron Jones goes down, which he's been injury prone in the past. You got Mason eating that workload, right? Like, and O'Connell will not be like one of those guys that plays 3-4 RBs. He'll stick to that system of one or maybe a couple of RBs, with one being the majority of the touches and the second one kind of giving them occasional breathers. So I like that one. So this one I'm going to take Dak. Like I said, I don't want to risk him being snatched, by an idiot drafter who doesn't know what the hell he's doing and just picking random quarterbacks. So let's take Dak. Like I said, not like he's crazy good, but man, when those guys get down, Cowboys, and he's throwing at home, damn, that guy is like for sure plus over 300 yards, sometimes 3 touchdowns, and those like 20, 25 points. And now I got those 2 wide receivers. So at least I know that, okay, I don't have to worry about either be a CD game or a Pickens game. Either one of them goes off, I'm good. Both of them go off, that's way better, right? And I don't think Dallas is going to be that great that their defense is anything to write home about. So they're going to be involved in those games where that's going to be high scoring. And like I said, Dak at home is money. There's he's gonna for sure put up points when he's at home. On the road, he sucks ass, but at least get those home games and those shootouts that they usually get in. Especially with teams like Washington in their division. New York Giants might be good. You never know, right? And Philly, obviously their defense is elite, but at home they're probably gonna have to throw. They have no other choice if Philly takes an early lead or anything like that, so let's just bank on that. So right now, like I have one quarterback, which is Dak Prescott, 3 running backs, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, Jordan Mason, and 5 running backs. 5 wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison, George Pickens, Devonta Smith, and Jerry Jeudy. Coming up here pretty quick, so I have another choice to make. I can either go running back. I just want to see my guy. Okay. So I do need a tight end, and I do have one that I like, and that is Tyler Warren. So I remember that before, back in the day, a couple of years ago, you cannot draft a rookie tight end, right? Because they don't play, they're scared shitless of blocking in the first year. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. But Sam Laporta came around and be like, let me buck this trend, right? And Sam Laporta was top tight end in that year. And then you had Brock Bowers, obviously last year went nuclear. And I think Tyler Warren is that guy this year. Colts suck. And they drafted this guy in the first round to be their guy. And I think the ball's going to go to him. Now, if they have the corpse of Daniel Jones running around like an idiot and throwing the ball wherever he can, he's gonna target Warren. And all this stuff out of minicamp was that he was getting the ball, he was rushing from the backfield, he was doing a lot of stuff. And I think he's going to be the Brock Bowers of this year. The numbers might not be the same, but I think the usage will be. You got 2 decent wide receivers, which will not be like all the attention won't be on Warren. So I think he'll draw that attention away, but I think he could eat this year. And that's one of my, my stands I'm making. And either it sucks or it doesn't. But if it does work out and, getting him in the, close to the 10th round of my draft, I think I'll be happy with that one. So, moving on now, let's see what I have here. I do need a second quarterback pretty soon here. I can't rely on that idiot Joe Flacco to stack with Jerry Jeudy. And all the other ones are gone. So I have to take a look at this one here. I don't want to. Oh, it's going by quick. Shoot, I should have really planned this out, not talk my ass off. Let me go JJ McCarthy and I'll figure stuff out. Okay. Ideally, like I don't have a pass catching running back, which sucks, so I'll have to figure this out. To be honest, the only pick I could probably take is Naylor, and that's hoping for Addison to be. So this wasn't an ideal pick. I don't have anybody to stack him with. Maybe I kind of panicked. I took him way too early. I should have maybe looked at someone a little bit later, like a Bryce Young that has some receivers at the end. The Geno Smith has some receivers at the end. So bad pick by me. Careful planning, not really one of my fortes right now while I'm trying to stream. But let's see, like one pick, 140 and 149. I'm going to need another wide receiver, so 140. Kyle Williams, I think, is going to be pretty useful, I think, in New England this year. I think with Josh McDaniels back, that offense is ready to step up. And Kyle Williams, one of the drafts, was somebody they targeted. So I do like him. Tight ends available. Jake Ferguson, I think I'm going to go after him. Reason being, obviously, I got Dak, and this way I have every pass catcher that Dak's probably going to throw the ball to in the red zone, in the field, wherever it may be. So I really like getting Jake Ferguson now. But Kyle Williams is going to drop. Ugh. If he drops, I might have to take him. Even Hollywood Brown, too, is not bad. Let's see what happens here. Okay. My read on Kyle Williams is he's going to be wide receiver 1. So now, obviously I passed on Ferguson, and I'm hoping I can probably get him back at the 148. Let's see what happens. But I had to take Kyle Williams, right? My stand is on, I think he's going to be in those, like, maybe not the first half of the season, but the second half of the season, I think he's going to get it going. And I think him and May are the next duo, right? You're going to have Diggs, and I think Diggs is going to be in the slot and is going to help in the middle of the field for sure. But I think second half of the season, though, I think Kyle Williams is going to take over. And as wide receiver 6 for my team, I need him. Just make sure that I get the maximum points from my wide receivers. Now, the whole hope with Jake Ferguson is he falls to 148 or 149, sorry. Looking good so far. Next guy has 2 tight ends, but you never know. These idiots are auto-drafting sometimes. They go all the way to the end. This Fob Mob, man, you don't need a second tight end right now. Oh, and he takes 2. Okay, Cappy 1973. Jack Besh. Oh, worked out. Jake Ferguson, come on down, my man. I know you're on a team, but we skipped you for Kyle Williams. But hey, buddy, we're all friends here. Dak Prescott here with Jake Ferguson, George Pickens, and CeeDee Lamb. Now, if there's a 4th receiver in this, I'm going to be pissed off, right? I got all 3 of the Dax guys, so hopefully this works out. Their running game stinks. You can't be relying on the Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders to carry you in the running game, so it's going to be passing all the way. But okay, so we're good on that. Now it's time for a running back. So I got 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 6 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. Let's look at the running back landscape here. There's Isaac Garendo, with CMC back, big question mark. Can that man stay healthy? If that man stays healthy, he is worthy of a number 1 or 2 or even third, pick of this draft. If everyone knew that CMC is gonna be healthy for the full year, he's gonna play every game of the season. That guy might be the number 1 pick, right? The way that guy produces is rushing and receiving, awesome guy. But I'm gonna go with another one of my stands, and that is Jalen Wright. Okay, so hear me out. Mostert's gone. Not that Mostert did much last year. Jalen Wright, these positive news coming out of mandatory minicamp. He's lost weight, put on some muscle. Kind of let the first season of his career kind of helped him kind of get through all that. And so I think it's time for him to step up. And I think A-Chain obviously is awesome with his pass catching, and he's going to have a big role, but maybe they need that guy that can pound it in the in like the kind of the 5-yard line or the 1-yard line. And I think Jalen Wright's that guy, so he's one of my sleeper picks. I'm gonna take him here at 164, so past ADP, which is not bad. And I think that he could be one of those sleepers this year if Miami steps up. Miami's really got this is like a do or die season for McDaniel, so it's like he's got to do it. And obviously Jalen Wright gets picked. You stupid idiot. Thanks a lot, man. And now I got to take the corpse of Austin Eckler. Okay, 1 round past ADP. Oh, man. If this is 2021, I'd be, jumping up for joy. But this is 2025. Austin Eckler, if he can stay healthy, he was doing well last year. Oh, okay, man, I really hate idiots like this. This guy has, let's see, 252A. Who can I snipe from this guy's team? Who can I snipe? I'm petty like that. I like to snipe. I know I might ruin my own draft, but sometimes being petty is what makes it worthwhile. So yeah, like back to Eckler, he was having a good year. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is awesome, and he got hurt, and then he came back and he just wasn't the same. So I think Debo takes away a lot of Eckler's touches this year, for sure. But as my 4th running back, Cat plays 2-minute drills sometimes, catches a touchdown here and there. That's pretty much all I need. Let's go next. I don't like any of these, so I'm going to take Gesicki. Part of it is to snipe this idiot next after me and also be petty about it. But part of it is that guy can. I'd love that Bengals offense because their defense can be so shitty again this year. They're gonna have to throw, and they're gonna have to go wild on their offense to have any chances. So I think that's my reason. Just get part of that offense. Like, is Gesicki going to do well if Higgins and Chase are healthy? Probably not. But if one of them goes down, for sure Gesicki is stepping in. And that's what happened, right? T. Higgins was out for a few games. Gesicki, those were his big games, right? When he's in the middle of that field. And because he's really a slot wide receiver, right? He's not a tight end. So I just want that offense, right? Just give me that. I just want it. I just want one. Just one piece, man. Just one. Just please, just one. And if it's a big game, with one injury, he's one injury away from being like, 10, 15 points a week for sure. See here. Now we got 2, 4, 6, 3, 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. I am going to go with, let's see here. So these are the 2 guys I like, Dante Thornton and Darius Slayton. Dante Thornton is basically you're going off of the minicamp hype, whatever you read. that he's working with the starters. I don't know what that means. Everyone in Vegas is a starter, but um, if he does end up being one of those guys that starts and is on the outside, and then the news is worthwhile, then you know what? Then you got to steal late in the draft. So, and I'm a sucker for that kind of news, man. I'm a sucker. If someone says, "Oh God, that guy's been playing with the ones," sign me up, man. Sign me up. Here he comes, Dante Thornton. Come on down, buddy. Come on. You're working with the starters. That's the news thing. You're working with the starters. Come on. You can be a starter on my team too, buddy, as long as you put up the big points. But so yeah, let's see what happens. If it doesn't work out, fuck. It is what it is. But working with the starters, those are the an article title like that. That's a guaranteed pick right there on my end. I think I'm probably gonna have to go quarterback now, and I don't want to do it. But I believe in this man. Daniel Jones, buddy, come on down. Please don't mess it up, okay? You got this last chance of your life to be a starter. Anthony Richardson ain't going to be able to stay healthy. Someone took him. They believe in him. I don't. I don't think that guy has what it takes to become a quarterback in this league. Daniel Jones, your one last chance, brother. And, oh, man. Oh, God. Oh. Okay, well, let's go with the idiot Miles Sanders, one of the running backs that are up for a job. It's like, the three ugly girls up for the Miss Universe pageant. There's no chance him, Javonte Williams, or there's Jaden Blue. Who knows which one of these threes is actually going to make it. But let's just put our chips on Miles Sanders as the guy that comes out of this. So I got sniped Daniel Jones. No one will ever say that out loud ever again. But yes, Daniel Jones was sniped in this draft, one pick ahead of where I was going to take him. Sprice 8907 decided to ruin the dreams of the only man that ever believed in him. And now I only have two quarterbacks, and I'll have to find a third. There's Tyler Shuck. I don't know if he sucks or he's Shuck. Not that great of news coming out of what's going on there in New Orleans. I think they're having a hard time even picking a starter. I think Kellen Moore might even come out of retirement and just play himself. I don't know what's going on there. That's gonna be a dumpster fire. I think they maybe just have Kamara run the Wildcat and just do that. I don't know. You can't have guys you don't even know. You might pronounce his name as Shuck or Suck. You don't even know what's going to happen. So Spencer Rattler looked like he was rattled all season last year, and so there's no guarantee of that guy even making it. That's a horrible situation. So, I'm on my last pick right now. I'm gonna have to probably take Russell Wilson, even though I have no New York Giants, which is probably not probably the best thing to do, but maybe I'd take Flacco. Oh, God. Ooh, I was supposed to take Naylor, too. I took Dante Thornton. Oh, man. I messed up this draft pretty bad. Don't do what I just did right now on this draft. I really messed it up. But I just wanted to go show everybody. I wanted to get on this mic. Just wanted to talk. Show everybody what I should do. Should I go with Flacco, man? That idiot. Oh, God. Whatever. This draft's gone to shit anyways. Just pick up Joe Flacco. Come on down, brother. Come on down, man, old man. You and I are on the same boat here, fantasy football dads. Just, he obviously has himself on the team. I have him. So here's my team. I'm not proud of it. I think maybe talking the mic and not being able to concentrate, I probably have to work on that a bit more, and I promise I'll get better, and I can actually be a valuable resource, not, teach you bad tricks. Like I'm that guy that lives down the street that gets you in trouble with your parents. I got Dak, JJ McCarthy, and Joe Flacco as my three quarterbacks. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, Jordan Mason, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison, George Pickens, Devonta Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Kyle Williams, Dante Thornton, and tight ends Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, and Mike Gesicki. So I talked about before, you know, picking 18 players. I usually like my ideal or my go-to is the 3-5-7-3. Obviously, like I said before, one quarterback is played, two running backs are played, three wide receivers, one tight end, and then one flex. So you kind of always want to go more running wide receivers depending on the names you have. For example, if I had taken like my first 5 picks or first 6 picks were five. I had 5 wide receivers in there. Then I'm probably going to stick to 6 wide receivers because I probably have 5 studs. Adding a 7th wide receiver late in the season, late in the draft, is not guaranteed, and you're just wasting a pick where you can probably put that towards a quarterback or a tight end that you know for sure is starting. So you got, it is like it's so important. Like that round 14 to 18 really makes or breaks your team. You got to hit on somebody in that area of the draft that comes out of nowhere and takes over. And so last year for me, that was Bucky Irving. Okay, so why I picked Bucky Irving is because all you hear all like last offseason was that Rachaad White's efficiency sucks. Rachaad White's efficiency sucks. So basically that means that they had to play Rachaad White. He was their running back. He's not good, but we got to play him. And so they picked Bucky Irving, and all the talks in camp were, he's really good. He's shifty, powerful runner, and then when the efficiency is not good for the starter, that there's a possibility that backup could take over. So I picked a lot of Bucky Irving. It worked out great last year, but really this year I can't put my finger on who that guy is. A lot of the talk was Tootin. Oh, Tootin's the next Bucky Irving. No, he can't be. Just because Liam Cohen went to Jacksonville, and maybe he is. You know what? I'm not going to say he's not. Maybe he is. He's the next Bucky Irving. But why are we always looking for a new next Bucky Irving? There's no such thing. We can't always think that there's a next Bucky Irving or there's next that. And don't put all your chips in one basket when it comes, or don't put all your eggs in one basket, chips in one. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and think that, okay, Tootin's the next Bucky Irving because Liam Cohen's there. And that naturally fits. Yes, the situation is kind of the same. Bigsby and ETN, probably not, just kind of like Rachaad White, not great efficiency, and maybe Tootin can step in. The only thing that scares me of Tootin is his fumbling issues. A couple of those came up in minicamp, and if he can't clean this up, and if he has those issues coming the regular season, he's not getting the chance next year, or at least early in the season, maybe later in the season if you can kind of. But honestly, I've seen fumbling issues turn into something you can't control. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Thank you so much for tuning in to my first draft. Was it the greatest? No. Did I get sniped a couple times? Yes, I did by 2 idiots. But I hope you learned at least one simple thing, and that's to love fantasy football. Peace out, everybody. Take care.